Thank you for tuning into Abundant Moments. I love reading in the Old Covenant, the Old Testament, about a widow woman who had two sons, and her husband had just recently died, and he left her in debt. They were coming to take her sons away, and they were going to use them sort of as slaves to help to pay off her debt. And she went to the prophet of God in desperation. And he asked her, he said, "What do you have in your house?" You see, so many times we have the answer right in our house, but we don't realize it. We're looking at something and we think it's nothing, but with God, it can be everything. And he said, "What do you have of value that's in your house?" And she said, "Well, all I have is a little oil." You see, oil has always been very valuable, and it still is today. He told her to do something that just seemed odd. It seemed like it did not make any sense. He said, "Go to all your neighbors and borrow as many vessels or containers as you can." And so she went and she did. And she borrowed from all of her neighbors. And so she came back. She said, "I have all these vessels, all these containers. Now what do you want me to do?" He said, "Begin to pour the oil that you have." Now remember, she just had a little oil. But when she started obeying what the man of God had said, and she started pouring into those vessels, those borrowed containers, all of a sudden the oil began to multiply. And she poured and filled up one and the second and the third and the fourth, and it just kept going and going and going until she got to that very last container. And then the oil stopped. He said, "Now take that and sell it and pay off your debt." And that's exactly what she did. I imagine at that point that she got to that last vessel, I imagine she thought, "Why didn't I borrow more? I should have went more and got more." But I want to tell you this, when we obey the word of the Lord, sometimes it doesn't make sense. But when we obey the word of the Lord and we say, "Lord, what do I have in my house? What do I have that you can bless and that you can use to meet my need?" Because there is something there. God has placed something. He has allowed something to be there. And when we seek him and we listen to his voice and we obey, we see, just like she did, that we too have more than enough. You see, God is still Jehovah Jireh. He is still your provider today. Trust in him. But what do you have in your house? Thank you for tuning in.